Welcome to the NBAV podcast.
Welcome back to NBAV, the NBA Avenue podcast. And we're going to come out and say it right here, right now. The Dallas Mavericks are going to win the NBA championship. That's where I'm arriving at this point in time. Dallas is a juggernaut. They're unstoppable. And even when it seems like they've run into the wrong team at the wrong time and they're playing Houston while Houston's playing their absolute best basketball of the entire season with no pressure on them, they're already mathematically done. Everything is going the way of Dallas. Everything's going the way of Houston. Houston's hitting every shot. They're not missing. Dylan Brooks is playing the game of his life. And yet, when it comes down to it, at the end of the game, Jabari Smith can't hit a single free throw. And Dallas gets the timely three-pointer from Dante Exum, sending the game into overtime for Kyrie and Luka. And then even for PJ Washington to hit 2 3-pointers in that overtime that just totally iced the ball game. And this is what I mean where I say that Dallas has the depth. I know that PJ Washington isn't the player who you want necessarily shooting for your team in overtime, but he's another option. And Dante Exum is another option as well. And when your team is running out of options and players are fouling out, that's what was happening on the Houston side. Houston lost one player early in the game, right? They lost the Thompson twin due to a flagrant foul, and then they lost near the end of the ball game. They had to put Jeff Green back in the game. They lost They lost Reggie Bullock, who came in and hit some big threes. So where Dallas has the men to go to war with you, Houston didn't have the men to go to war. And I've got some news for you that Denver does not necessarily have the roster to go to war right now, because Denver becoming a slightly more shallow team, losing a few of their pieces from last season, it's going to destroy them this season, because if they lose Jamal Murray for even one game, they can't win that ball game. It's going to be very, very tough for Denver to beat a team as deep as Dallas when it comes time for a full 7-game series. So Dallas is really looking like they can actually go all the way to this finals. They really can. And I've been on them from the beginning, since the trade deadline, since the All-Star break. We've been talking about Dallas and how they're the team that's going to be able to give it a shot, but it's really more than that now. Not only is Dallas going to be able to give it a shot, they may actually be the front runner. They've moved up to the 5th seed. They're going to get a very good matchup. They're going to be playing the Los Angeles Clippers. And the Clippers they've won a few games in a row, but I would feel very, very good. I think that the Clippers are absolutely toast. I don't see how the Clippers are going to manage to beat this Dallas team. It's the wrong matchup at the wrong time. If there was one team in the entire league I wouldn't want to draw right now, it would be the Dallas Mavericks. Even though the Clippers are 7-3 in their last 10 and they've won 3 in a row, Dallas is 9-1 in their last 10. And if you go further back, Dallas can basically replicate that going another 10 games back. They've been unconscious. It's just Dallas is the wrong team right now. Considering that not only do they get a great performance from Luka every single night, not only are they getting a great performance from Kyrie every night, not only do they have a guy like Hardaway who can just torch you on any given night, and not only do they have all the defense, and not only do they have Gafford and Washington and Lively and Kleba to play defense, they've got everything, but then the tide just starts to turn in their favor, and the forces start to intervene, and they start to believe. And you start to believe in yourself if you're Luka and Kyrie. And the shot of them at the end of the game where they're walking and they're both exasperated and they have their arms over one another and they just feel like we've done it, we've unlocked it, we can go all the way. It's more than dangerous at this point. It's already been set into motion. The plan has already started. As Dallas is en route to an NBA Finals appearance, to an NBA championship, where Dallas can afford to have any one of several supporting actors go down and still be in a very good position. Denver is not prepared for that. If Denver loses any one of several players, they're going to make it nearly impossible for them to go all the way. And I'm not just talking Jamal Murray, who's pretty injury prone. I'm talking if they lose a Michael Porter Jr., it's going to be brutal for them. If they lose a Christian Brown is paramount to them. If they lose a KCP or a Peyton Watson or even a Holiday or a Reggie Jackson, any one of those guys, they're relying on them so much. Whereas for Dallas, you could afford to lose one or even two of your supporting cast. For Denver, you have a guy taking a slip on the court. You have your big man, your athletic player, taking a spill at the end of one of these games, and you start to worry about Aaron Gordon. He's just one of several guys who could go down and really, really hurt you. And you just have to look at it and say, Denver doesn't have as deep of a team. They are more shallow, and that's going to very possibly come back to hurt them over the course of the remaining games to heading to the playoffs. In the playoffs, in a 7-game series, it's really going to come back to hurt them. In some of the other news that we have in the league, you had a very brief period where the Lakers seemed like they did it. They were in 8th, and Sacramento was in 9th. But now you've come up to it where the Lakers only have 3 games left. The Lakers have one more loss than Sacramento, so this is going to be in Sacramento's hands to pull this one out. Even if the Lakers win all 3 ball games, Sacramento will still have a chance to win 3 ball games on their end and send this to a tiebreaker. I'm not sure who would win in that scenario. But the Kings have a game against the Blazers left on their schedule, and then they also have the Pelicans, the Thunder, and the Suns. So it's not an easy schedule for the Kings. The Lakers have the Pelicans, the Warriors, and the Grizzlies. So not a particularly easy one there either, although you do have the Grizzlies, but you only have 3 ball games left, and you're already a loss down on the Kings. You've already lost one more ball game. So the Kings have 4 games, and they definitely have the power is in their hands. Destiny, they can make their own path to the playoffs. So the Lakers, very, very, very briefly, were in the 8th seed. Really incredible that they even got there for just a second. And now it appears that the Kings do have the front track. They do have the inside track to stay in front of the Lakers heading into the playoffs and keeping that 8th seed and making the Lakers go back-to-back in play-in games. The Warriors doesn't really matter. They'll be playing the Pelicans, the Lakers, the Blazers, and the Jazz, but the Warriors are going to be in your 10th seed. And then the Pelicans, who are in the 7th seed right now, they're still tied for the 6th seed with the Suns. So let's look at the Suns and the Pelicans. The Pelicans have the Kings, the Lakers, the Warriors, and then they have the easy one, the Blazers. So you could see potentially the Pelicans dropping 3 of those 4 games is very possible. And then the Suns will be playing the Wolves, the Clippers twice, and the Kings. So a very tough one for the Suns as well, and they've been having to play tough ones. So both of those teams, they don't have it that easy. The Pelicans and the Suns, with the 4 games remaining, it could come down to the wire. It really, really could, to see who's going to get the 6th seed and who's going to have to play in the play-in games. And then in the Eastern Conference, you have the Miami Heat, who have not gotten out of their way the entire season. They've been their own worst enemy the entire way through. And the Pacers have done enough beating the Heat, and the Sixers have done enough beating the Heat in the head-to-head matchups where now the Heat are most likely going to be in a 7 or an 8 seed. They're a game and a half back of the Pacers, and they've only got 4 games left, and the Pacers only have 3 games left, and the Pacers have a very easy schedule. They'll be playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, who cannot win going down the stretch of the season. They've completely hit the free fall. So the Pacers are going to be playing the Cavaliers, then the Raptors, and the Hawks. The Pacers could run the table here And that would be it. The Pacers would be in the 6th seed, or maybe even the 5, as the Pacers and the Cavaliers end up playing each other, and they're only separated by 1 game. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in the 2 seed, and now they're in danger of going all the way to 6. And they're probably not going to drop lower than that because the Sixers have 3 games left. It's the Magic, the Pistons, and the Nets. But with only 3 games left, the Cavaliers the Cavaliers are in the 5th seed, and they are 2 full games ahead of the Sixers. So they would have to lose all 3 games, and the Sixers would have to win all 3 games, which is unlikely. It's unlikely that the Sixers will run the table and win all 3, and that the Cavaliers will lose all 3, especially when the Cavaliers will be playing the Hornets and the Grizzlies in 2 of those games. So the Cavaliers are going to be in the 6 or the 5, most likely, whereas the Sixers are most probably going to stay in 7 or drop to 8. But the Miami Heat have forced their way into the play-in, meaning they've forced in a negative way. They've forced themselves to not move up. They've blown too many head-to-head opportunities against the Sixers and against the Pacers, teams that they're going to have to now go and beat. And it's going to be very, very, very tough. And the Heat, I would say, have shot themselves in the foot too many times to the point where they're not going to be able to withstand it. And it's the straw that broke the camel's back. The Heat have played with fire one too many times, and they did it last season, and now they're going to have to go do it again. And it's going to just be even tougher than it was last season because you're going to have to do it again. And it's hard to do it once, but it's even harder to do it again. And that's what the Heat are grappling with here. So as we look at the games that we have the fullest slate of NBA action coming up tonight. The Sixers get the gimme. They get to play the Pistons. The Pacers get a gimme, and they get to play the Raptors. Both of those not going to bode well for the Miami Heat, with the Sixers and the Pacers getting easy matchups tonight. The Mavericks get an easy one against the Hornets. The Heat are going to play the Hawks. The Celtics will play the Bucks, who can't get out of their own way. The Spurs and the Grizzlies will tangle with each other in a game that doesn't matter. And the Kings are going to have to face off against the Oklahoma City Thunder, a very tough matchup in Oklahoma City, as the Kings may drop down back into a tie with the Los Angeles Lakers. That's definitely what all Lakers fans are going for. But the Lakers will also be playing, as we'll get to in a bit. The Wizards are going to go play against the Timberwolves, so the Timberwolves are going to still continue their quest to try and nab the 1 seed. And the Magic are going to face off against the Rockets. It's a tough game because the Rockets are playing so well. But the Magic on the road, will they be able to get the victory? They are currently in the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, but they're in a tie with the Knicks. Very tough matchup there for the Magic tonight. Tough draw getting the Rockets while the Rockets are playing so well. Nearly, and probably they should have beat the Dallas Mavericks in their last game. But unfortunately, the missing foul shots really came back to bite them. The Knicks just lost to the Bulls a couple of nights ago, and they're going to play the Bulls again in Chicago tonight. So the Knicks and the Magic have the opportunity, one to pull in front of the other. Very, very interesting to see what happens. The Nuggets are going to be playing the Jazz in an easy matchup there. So the Nuggets and the Timberwolves could both get victories here and continue their battle all the way till the end for who's going to get that 1 seed. They're tied, and they most likely will still be tied after tonight. The Pelicans get an easy draw as they face the Blazers. The Pelicans really need it, and it could work in their favor that they're getting an easy matchup against the Blazers tonight, where they can likely move in front of the Phoenix Suns. The Warriors will face off against the Lakers, where the Lakers are desperate to win, especially with the Kings facing the Thunder tonight. If the Warriors don't manage to pull this one off against the Lakers could actually move back into the 8th seed, something that they're desperate to do. And then the Clippers will face the Suns in Phoenix. The Suns blew it. They weren't able to defeat the Pelicans in their previous one. It was basically Durant, Booker, and Beal going up against Zion all at the end of that ball game, and Zion, with a little bit of help from McCollum, emerged victorious and embarrassed the Suns on their home court. So the Suns really had the golden opportunity to move firmly in front of the Pelicans, and they didn't take advantage of that. And now they're going to have to face the Clippers in one of 2 games that they're going to be facing the Clippers, 2 of their last 4 here. So the Suns are going to continue the gauntlet, and the gauntlet has not really worked out for the Suns. It hasn't not worked out. The Suns have fought back enough to where they're still in it with a chance to get the 6th seed, but they're going to have to really clean up here at the end, and it's going to be very, very, very tough. So it could be a great opportunity for the Pelicans tonight to move firmly in front of the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns may have to be playing play-in games coming up very soon. So that pretty much tells you what's happening here in the NBA. If I had to say right now, I think Dallas has the inside track to going to the finals against the Boston Celtics, and that's going to be absolutely incredible. Dallas has all the momentum, whereas Denver is just one piece from going down away from them not being able to make it and not be able to replicate what happened last season. Whereas in the Eastern Conference, you have Milwaukee showing you every sign that they're not going to be able to get it done, and Boston will. Then you have the Magic and you have the Knicks, but the Magic probably just don't have enough. The Knicks are that intriguing second team after the Boston Celtics. It's the New York Knicks. So the Celtics and the Knicks are really the two to watch in the Eastern Conference. I think Miami's just made it too difficult upon themselves. And even if they emerge from the play-in, they may have to face Boston in round one. We shall see. But it looks like Boston and it looks like the Knicks. And then in the Western Conference, it looks like Denver and it looks like Dallas with maybe a good luck sprinkling of the Suns, depending on how they can emerge from this gauntlet. So you can follow the show at NBAV, that's NBA Avenue, and you can email the show at nbavenue@yahoo.com with your questions and comments. As always, we're your source for a great time every time, and until next time, we are out.